Swadika and very good evening and welcome to Thai PBS World tonight. I'm Nad Bunag.
I'm Tulip Nak-Somphop-Lao. We're going to start with the news about the Thai Economy Assessment Report by OECD. It said that, of course, Thai economy expect to be negative this year, but it will bounce back slowly next year. The 163 pages assessment report by Organization for Economic Cooperation and Development or OECD said that Thailand actually has made impressive economic and social progress over the past decades. Thanks to the strong policy framework, friendly business climate, and attention to citizens' well-being. But COVID-19 crisis might send the country into a severe recession soon, like many other countries. So, of course, Thailand cannot escape it. But expert projects that the economic growth will contract sharply this year, but it will bounce back in 2021, which is next year, of course, because Thai government has managed the outbreak very well. However, the lockdown measures have affected domestic demand, and the weak employment prospects weigh on confidence of businesses and households. So the recovery will be slow and will have a scarring effect on long-term productivity. And the report also focused on the informal workers group, particularly women in Thailand, which was described as vulnerable workers. Their lack of access to sufficient social protection and lack of training opportunities. The report suggests the Thai government should come up with the measures to upskill and reskill this group of workers and make the post-outbreak economy more inclusive and productive. The report also talked about the access of the education. It starts with the press. It praises that Thailand has been doing very well in expanding the access of the education. The participation of general education is high, especially in the elementary level, but there is a but. But students in the rural areas still doesn't have enough access, and the students or children from the poorest families still do not attend school, and the exclusion rates are high in the rural areas. Also, the last portion of the report talking about international trade. They focuses on the service sectors that have become important and essential to the international trade. Statistically, the service sector in Thailand are more strictly regulated than in other ASEAN in Asian countries, so much so that it hinders the expansion. The report suggests that Thailand should try to remove barriers, particularly regarding the international mobility of skilled workers by expanding the coverage of smart visa.
And speaking of state quarantine, let's imagine if you had the chance to quarantine at this place that has a private pool and a beautiful villa in this island. So that must be really interesting here. So let's check it out.
A private infinity pool, gourmet meals, and 2 temperature checks a day. Welcome to 5-star quarantine in Thailand, where well-heeled tourists can live in luxury while obeying some of the world's strictest anti-coronavirus measures. It definitely will be comfortable, but it will be in confinement. After barring visitors for 6 months, Thailand is reopening to a small number of holiday makers, with the first batch arriving in Phuket, a popular resort island, in the coming weeks. But before enjoying the beaches, the 300 tourists from China and Scandinavia will have to complete 14 days of compulsory quarantine, including 2 coronavirus tests overseen by a war room of doctors and security guards. While the coronavirus put global travel on hold, it is also sending Thailand's economy into free fall. More than 70% of Phuket's businesses, which depends on tourism, are now shuttered. At the census resort overlooking Phuket's Patong Bay, 16 villas have been specially prepared for quarantine guests. The villas, which are up to 220 square meters, were redesigned, getting rid of cushioned surfaces to make disinfecting easier, while CCTV security cameras have been installed at the entrances. Employees have also received training at a hospital in how to spot infections and given personal protective equipment to deliver room service meals. The assistant director of sales at the Census Resort, Tanchanok, said that they chose to be in the quarantine program because they want to support the local.
We want to support and help the local people who suffering badly from COVID-19 and also for the unemployed staff that they can return to work and they can make money to survive for themselves and family.
The Census Resort is one of 9 properties in Phuket, mostly luxury hotels with government approval for quarantining guests. Upmarket quarantine does not come cheap. Confinement at the census runs to a hefty $5,300 or $18,700 for a family of 4. If the Phuket model proves successful, the government will attempt to replicate it in the rest of the country. Once visitors finish quarantine, they can stay and travel freely for 3 to 9 months on a special visa created to revive tourism.
ทางกระทรวงเราก็เลยพยายามเน้นนะครับเน้นว่าถ้าจะมีนักท่องเที่ยวรุ่นใหม่ล็อตใหม่เข้ามาเนี้ยเอาในวงแคบๆไม่กี่จังหวัดก่อนเป็นจังหวัดนำร่องถ้าหากว่าจังหวัดนำร่องตรงนี้แล้วเนี่ยไม่มีปัญหาเราก็จะค่อยๆขยายออกไป
At the Census Resort, visitors will wake up to a view of island's lush sloping mountains and can swim laps in each villa's infinity pool. But attempting to leave the room could bring police at a guest's door within 15 minutes, while an infected guest can be taken to hospital within half an hour. Completing quarantine does not ensure unfettered freedom. Thai Prime Minister Prayut Chan-o-cha has said that visitors' whereabouts will continue to be tracked via mobile phone apps. But the strict rules have not deterred interest. About 20 people from India and Europe have already contacted the hotel since it got approval for the program.
And that wraps up tonight's edition of Thai PBS World Tonight. I'm Nabunang and Kun Tulip standing off, and we'll see you tomorrow. สวัสดีค่ะ